and AM 1220.
It's 8:40 on this Tuesday morning. In studio guest, and I'm so excited to meet Zach from the Masters University. Zach, how are you?
Doing well. Thanks for having me on the show.
I have been reading all about you, Zach Schroeder.
That's right.
And boy, resume. Let's just roll it up into a scroll and open it up, and it goes on for miles. But most importantly, you have been part of this community and part of the Masters University now for 18 seasons.
It has, yeah.
So you're a newbie, is what we're saying.
Oh yeah, no, it's been such a delight to be a part of the Santa Clarita community for approaching 2 decades now, and
it's crazy, right?
Yeah,
time flies.
It really does.
You are the Masters University's men and women's cross country coach.
That's right.
That's a lot of work. Doing both. Isn't that a lot of work, coaching men and women? Because don't you have to kind of approach differently, men's workouts and women's workouts and goals a little bit differently?
Yeah, no, it really is. I think that one of the big things is if you can, there's a synergy of great people when they work together. You tend to be as good as the people that you work with. And I have just a great support staff. And so, there's kind of the, being the director over cross country in the fall, this is the fall season, so we're in cross country. During the spring, that's track and field, so we have that going, and I have just a number of assistants that are just really remarkable at what they do. So I think that's a huge part of what our squad is getting some of those pieces just working well one with another. So I kind of oversee all of the big nuts and bolts, but on the ground level, we have our assistants kind of working with the men and as well as with the women. So there's a lot of customization within our program.
Exactly right. Cross country versus like sprinting and hurdles and you've got all kinds of different events.
Sure.
Different approaches to training. I know we have our receptionist, Lori. She can run forever. She is a long distance girl, plain and simple. How do you approach that differently than, is it all about endurance cross country, or is it because, doing sprints obviously is speed? And I imagine the workouts are different. The events are different. Can you speak a little toward that?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. You make a good point. People tend to perform up to their weakest point. And so I think from a coaching standpoint, you really have to ascertain for every athlete, what's holding them back. Somebody, is an endurance beast. They can just go forever. That might be their strength, but then maybe they don't have good, turnover cadence or leg speed. And you have to kind of develop that. So, it's always being aware of every individual's individual strength and then what their weaknesses might be. And, we're constantly trying to maximize those strengths. And to do that, you have to minimize the weakness. And so, there's just, analysis of that. Sometimes you have somebody that physically they're very strong, but, mentally they lack the grit or the fortitude to really perform in collegiate athletics. And so then it comes into maybe, the mental outlook of how they're performing and those types of things. So, but yeah, we're, constantly this morning we were, out working on, kind of our ground contact times and our front side, back side mechanics and, really trying to hone the athlete to be the highest performer they could possibly be.
So many questions for you. When you see someone, because you have, honestly, I'm looking at your resume and I'm looking at all the championships and looking at your nationals and it's just amazing all that you as a head coach over at the Masters University has accomplished. And obviously you've had a great team. You've had a great team of coaches under you and also just great people, athletes on your teams. Having said that though, how do you know, like, let's say someone comes out, you're getting these athletes from high school. And so they must have come from a program in their high school to here, to the Masters University. Have you ever seen someone who's maybe running cross country who really, you think you could be a hurdler or you could be a sprinter, and you kind of change course for them?
Absolutely. You know, one of my current assistants, Micaiah Scott, she came to us as a kind of a sprinter jumper. And I can't remember what season it was. This goes back a few years ago, but she actually pulled her hamstring first jump of the season. And, immediately we had to say, how are we going to overcome this obstacle? So this is obviously track and field. But then, we started to do some work with the javelin, and she ended up as an All-American in the javelin, and had a decorated career. If you look at her TFERS, which is basically the number of events that she's done, she's competed in 14 different events. So it's very easy for people to think of themselves in a very linear, I'm just this type of an athlete. But if you have an open mind, you're willing to be coached, you can really maybe your greatest wheelhouse, your greatest strength is going to be in something you don't know. And I think from a coaching standpoint, that's for us to really ascertain, how do we put athletes in the best lane that they're capable of.
Do you have to use different strategies for different athletes? For example, if you take a look at someone who's just easy to coach, just someone who is constantly in the pocket, just right there always, and you kind of let them go do their thing and you give them a thumbs up every once in a while. But then there's someone who needs maybe a little bit more. Do you ever get to the point of that's all we're going to get? Or do you just never give up and just try different ways to come around? And what's that like?
Great question. So, one of the things I tell my team often is that trust is the currency of success. And, those athletes that have deep trust in what we're doing, they're going to be more coachable. They're going to be more malleable. And there's athletes where it's like, man, whatever they've done, whatever program they've come from, they might be kind of more cemented or locked into that. And yeah, you definitely get the most out of people that trust the most. They tend to be the most coachable. But yeah, you always get the best out of people when they're harnessed together. The way that I say it is that they're running as one. And so we really try not to splinter off and have, kind of an individualistic mentality. It's like, how can I perform today that elevates the people around me? So, just a simple recipe, things that we look for. Obviously, when I'm recruiting, I'm looking for that competitively hungry athlete. So I look and I ask questions to determine, competitive drive. But at the same time, you put competitive people in the same room together and it actually creates a toxic team culture. And to build culture starts by coupling competitive hunger with personal humility. And that's something that we really look at is like, okay, how much is this person willing to shine the spotlight on ultimately the Lord, right? But as well, their teammates, their coaches, other people. Do they really want that limelight on themselves, or are they doing everything they can to elevate those around them? So those are two of the pieces we look for. Which
is an interesting point, because when you speak of running, it's not like football, it's not like baseball as far as the team sport that you'd normally, the stereotypical, right? But it is a team sport. You're all in this together.
Absolutely.
Even though you're individually running and you have individual times and you have it's still a team, and you have to look out for the team.
Absolutely. And when people suffer together, no matter what the sport, when they suffer together, it brings them closer together. There's an understanding. And, there's like that joke, right? Our sport is your sport's punishment. But this, running, boxing, some of these sports, they're very painful. They're very difficult, and to step into this arena, you have to be minded different. And what happens is a sense of camaraderie comes from that, because you just do things that very few people are willing to do.
I love that about athletics, and I've seen and you've probably seen them as well, like TikTok videos where you see someone stumble only to have someone on the other team help them.
Great sportsmanship.
Right?
Yeah.
And that must make you feel like your heart just grows bigger.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
100%.
What brought you to the Masters? Now you got to think back 20 years. What brought you to the Masters University?
Yeah, well, here, I'll try to make this short, but I had a great opportunity. My coach was Mark Covert. So, for the running buffs out there, a little history. Obviously, people know Roger Bannister, the first person in the history of the world to run under 4 minutes for the mile, right? But then right after Bannister, there was Jack Landy and then Laszlo Tabori. Tabori, within a month of Bannister going under 4 minutes for the mile, Tabori went under. Tabori ended up in the Los Angeles area coaching Mark Covert. Mark Covert was the very first athlete to wear a pair of Nikes across the finish line. So there's just something about, the history of the sport and, kind of the corporation of Nike of what they've done. Well, Mark Covert was my coach, and there's, a little bit of lineage there that just resulted in, I think, having a great passion for running that's maybe a little bit more elevated. But with that, I just thought, it would be so incredible to be a part of an institution that really stood on God's word, that didn't compromise, but then also to perform at a very high level athletically. So sometimes, private schools, they have great values, but then they have low performance.
Sure.
And, so I think that the thing here that we're accomplishing at Masters is, great values and great performance coupled together. And that's very unique.
It's working. It's working. I mean, the amount of accomplishments you guys have had, like, I'm serious. I have 2 pages full of all of what you and your teams have accomplished over at the Masters University. How are we looking this year?
It's, honestly, this is going to definitely has a chance to be the most decorated year we've ever had. So this is our dream team. And, for your audience, if they want to come out and watch us compete this Saturday, we have our home cross country event. We have 1,000 athletes that will be in town here. So about 500 of those will be high school. We have the high school divisions and the collegiate divisions.
And it's all this weekend.
All this weekend starts at 7:30 at Central Park. Last race of the day is 10:30. So it's the morning if they want to go out there and kind of see what's going on. So, but yeah, our men go at 7:30. The park is going to be absolutely slammed. So people should get there early to hear the national anthem and just kind of some of those introductions, the things that are going on. But I would say that our men's team, they definitely are eyeing the national podium. So, if any listeners want to make their way up to Vancouver, Washington, the Friday before Thanksgiving, it's a great opportunity to see kind of a local hometown team performing at the national level. So
how fantastic.
It's going to be exciting.
Congratulations on all that you've done so far, and good luck for this weekend. Good luck moving forward in the season. And, if you do come back and you have a lot of decoration, I want to know about it. We got to talk to you.
That.
Yeah, we got to talk to you again, because it's just, it looks like you are just, for the last 18 seasons, you're not turning around. You're just going forward.
Well, it has been just a joy to be a part of this journey, and we feel very, very blessed. And your kind words just really mean the world. We're so thankful for that.
How, if someone's driving around right now, maybe they're in high school, maybe they're on a team right now, and they're interested in coming to you, because why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you want to come and be coached by you? How do they do that? How do they do it?
So gomustangs.com is our athletic website. And then there's a link at the bottom of the page that says get recruited. Easiest way, fill out that form, and I'll be in touch with them by the day. So
fantastic.
Absolutely.
Zach, it was absolutely a pleasure meeting you. Please come back. Let us know what's going on. I want to see medals. I want to see trophies. I want to see everything. So please come back.
Let's do it. Absolutely.
All right.
Appreciate you guys. Thanks so much.